Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business Podcast. My name is Kara Buntin, and I've had a home-based business since 1999, so that's what we talk about on here. Now, the first thing I wanted to mention in this little episode is that this is intended to be a podcast. Yes, it's on YouTube, but you can get YouTube podcasts on the YouTube Music app. So if you have the app on your phone, you can listen to podcasts while you're out walking, or I don't know if you go out walking or if you're just out in your car driving around, whatever. You can actually listen to podcasts on the YouTube Music app, and you can get that on, like the podcasts are on there. So just saying that. And also, it's a podcast, so it might be a little rambly, okay? And I've had a few people recently leave comments like, this video is too long. It's a freaking podcast. I'm going to talk, all right? I'm not trying to make one specific point. It's just a conversation. And if you have something to add, please go ahead and add it. But, if you're giving me editing tips, I don't need those, so thanks anyway. I do appreciate the fact that you're watching, but I don't need to know that it's longer because, yeah, it's a podcast. Okay, so that's that. And the thing that I wanted to talk about today, because this came to mind when my husband and I had been going to this trivia night that one of his friends had set up a team. All right, so his friends had set up a team. They invited us to go, and we've been going over to this place and pretty regularly. They do it every Wednesday night. And the owner of the little pub says, hey, let's try it on Sunday night. I'll get a different guy to come in and do it because I don't want to do it. And we'll see how it goes. So we said, okay, we'll come. Sure, we'll support your little pub. We'll come and, it's a nice place. It's a fun time. So we got there on Sunday and we were the only team. Literally, we were the only team. The owner had said, yeah, it's pretty empty here on Sunday. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if people actually come. I don't think that he promoted it, because there wasn't anything online about it, so people might not even have known that we were doing trivia. But anyway, so there's 6 of us there, and the guy who was doing the trivia had been invited to do it, and he was like, yeah, okay. He said, basically, you're going to win everything, which is nice. But he said, if you want to break up into teams of 2, we could have 3 teams you could play against each other. And so we said, sure, that's fine. Now, I was there with my husband, and then we had 2 other couples. So it made sense to play couples against each other. Also, my husband is a wealth of useless information and trivial knowledge about everything. He has a really good memory, and there was no way I'm giving him to another team so that they could exploit his memory for their success, because no, all right? So, I'm not generally a competitive person, but when it comes to knowledge games, I get a little competitive, and so does my husband. And when we play Scrabble together, it gets ugly. It's not a good thing. So at trivia night, and I actually wrote this down because I thought this was kind of funny. The lessons that I learned from this. Oh, and by the way, my husband and I won every round. Okay, thank you. Because between the 2 of us, we know enough about stuff that we just wiped everybody out. So, but then we split the prizes between the whole table. So that was fine. But the things that I learned about trivia night, which I could then extend into my business because I make those connections all the time. Number 1, you need a ringer. You need someone on your team who does have just a wealth of knowledge about general information. And that's my husband on our team. And we kind of had started to I knew it all along, but the other people on the team had started to recognize this the more we went and played, that if we send him up to do tiebreaker questions, 9 times out of 10, he's going to get it right. Just little things like that. And I knew this about him anyway, but some people have to see it in action. So you need a ringer, and it needs to be someone who knows a little bit about everything. And what that relates to in your online sales is that you need an evergreen product. You need some kind of products in your shop that are evergreen. They're going to sell all the time. They're not seasonal. It's kind of a general popular thing. It's not something that's going to go in and out of style. It's not super trendy, but it's a solid product that will perform over time. Okay. And that's my husband on trivia night. He's a solid product that will perform over time. And you need one of those in your shop. You need evergreen products. So if you're looking at your products that you sell, make sure that some of them kind of appeal to a wide range of people. Like I said, they're not seasonal, they're not super trendy, but it's something that's not going to go out of style anytime soon. And it's kind of like I want to say it's the J. Crew of clothing, right? It's kind of classic. It's not going out of style anytime soon. It's a basic thing. It's just something that you can wear over and over, and you can have it for years, and it's not going to stand out like something really unusual, right? So that's the first thing I learned at Trivia Night. The second thing is that you need specialized info. Like, you need someone who has enough knowledge about stuff that they can answer those weird questions that come at you. And when this is kind of like, like somebody who knows specific details about certain subjects. And our team is actually pretty good at that, because everybody on the team kind of has general knowledge about certain things, but they also have backgrounds in kind of very diverse, industries or hobbies or whatever. And we do pretty well, unless it's some kind of a really weird question that nobody's sure of. But in general, we'll do pretty well on Trivia Night. We win things occasionally. But you need to have people who know things about specific subjects, even if no one at the table knows that. You need to have specialized knowledge about random topics. And to have, if you have people who come in and none of them have hobbies, none of them have interest about anything in a deep way, then it's going to be more difficult to win, because the questions that come at you are going to be things that nobody really knows a lot about. But if people have knowledge of one specific topic, chances are it's going to be something that you get a question about every now and then, and they're going to know it. For example, the one, I think there was one question that I was the only one that got right this year, or this last time on Sunday. And it's because it relates to this. It relates to e-commerce, and it relates to selling online and social media. And the guy said, what was the Merriam-Webster, I think it was Merriam-Webster dictionary word of the year for 2023. And I had heard this on the radio. I just randomly heard it, but it stuck with me because it relates to my interest, which is selling stuff online. And the word is authentic. How 2023 a word is that? It's very 2023. We all know that. Nobody else at the table knew that. I told my husband to write, and he's like, what, really? And I said, yeah, authentic. And then I started doubting myself. I'm like, no, I heard it. I know that it was a word of year for someone. Write it down. And it was right. And the guy's like, one person knew it. And I was like, yes, okay. But you need people on your team who have specialized knowledge if you're going to hit those kinds of questions that are random like that, and chances are someone will know it. What that relates to on your online business is those niche products that appeal to a certain crowd, right? So you need to have general stuff, you need to have evergreen products, but you also need to have some niche products that are going to either hit a certain holiday because they are trendy, or they just appeal to a certain crowd who might not be your general audience, but it's a subset of your audience. And those niche products are going to sell consistently, maybe not as often as the evergreen products, but you do need those in your shop in order to kind of bulk up your sales over time. And that's the kind of thing that you just have to do with trial and error. If I tend to develop niche products based on customer requests, because somebody will send me an email and say, can you do this in this color, or can you do this thing? Yes, I just developed a couple new products that I'm putting in my shop. Like over the next month, I'm going to be working on a whole series of things based on something that somebody asked me for. So yeah, pay attention to those requests, because those niche products are going to resonate with someone, and you're going to sell some of them. It might not be a consistent sale all the time because it's not as many searches for it, but they do have a piece of that. And that's basically the person on your trivia team who has a lot of knowledge about something. They might not get a question every week, but they're going to get the questions right when they do come. Okay. All right. The next thing that I learned is that you need current knowledge. Okay. And for trivia, they always have some kind of this day in history or this week in history. And you need to know what's going on. And you need to know what is going on currently and what happened on those dates back in time. So that would be names, current events. We've gotten a lot of questions about politicians' names, things that happened in the past, and you need specific names. There was but you need to kind of keep up with that kind of stuff, because there's always questions about that. Every trivia night has questions that are current, either today, this week, this year, or in the past. And I guess the word of the year could be that kind of situation also. But it's just important to have that as a piece of your team, because if people don't pay attention to what's going on, and all of our team, probably everybody in the whole room will go online and look up things that happened in history so that you kind of have a general idea. You might not remember all the details, but you have a general idea about the kinds of questions that might be asked. All right, there's always questions about people who died recently. It's that kind of stuff. So it's the current knowledge that relates to me as your e-commerce store as having new products. And you need to have current knowledge of what's trendy. You need to have current knowledge about what is selling. You need to have current knowledge about what people are looking for. And there is overlap there with the niche stuff, because if people start writing to me over and over asking for the same color, if I get 3 people asking me for the same color of something, I'll go and look to see if that color is suddenly popular. 9 times out of 10, it might be. So I'll just make it in that color and I'll list it, and then those things do sell. So that's kind of the trendy topics, or trendy products, the things that people are buying right now. You do need to have some of that in your shop. And if you have a good balance of the evergreen, the niche, and trendy stuff, you can cycle the trendy stuff in and out. That might not be something you're selling in 2 years, but for now, it's good to have it because people will buy it while it's trendy, because that's current, all right? The last part of this, and I was thinking it's good to have all this knowledge for trivia night, but there is a big element of luck. You need luck. You need to have some kind of luck, but sometimes it's opportunity. In business, it looks like an opportunity that comes your way and you either take it or you don't. And then people say, oh, that's so lucky, but it's just an opportunity. And I did talk about this, I think, in another podcast, but sometimes you just get lucky. And, a lot of the people that I see online talking about selling on Etsy, if you look at when they started selling, it was generally right before or during the pandemic. And I hate to say that was a lucky time to start selling, because it was such a horrific time for everyone. But if you started an online shop then, you are lucky, because everybody was shopping online. You had a captive audience. There were no other options for a lot of people. So that's a lucky time to start selling. And then if you're successful, especially if we're talking about Etsy, the algorithm would pick those products up and just keep showing them over time. And that's lucky. Okay, that's just luck. It has nothing to do with skill or anything. It's just timing. So sometimes when you're sitting at trivia night, you will get 50 questions that you have absolutely no knowledge of. And that's just an unlucky night. The person that chose the questions happened to choose questions that no one on your team knows. And those are nights where ooh, these questions were hard. But there's going to be another team that has the luck that night because they happen to know about that. So it's just pure chance. There's no control over what kinds of questions are asked. And sometimes there's no control over what Etsy shows people or what the algorithm shows people or what Google is suggesting to people. If you have a website and you're thinking about that, sometimes there's just no explaining it, and it just falls back on luck. So there is an element of that, especially selling products online. Sometimes you hit on a product that just happens to be great. It happened, you have no idea that it's trendy, but you just happen to start it and people start buying it, and then the cycle ramps up. So it is a big part of that. I wouldn't say it's it is a part. I'm not sure how big it is. Some people just get more lucky than others. And you have to look to say, is that your skill, or are you just choosing the right thing? Like sometimes you'll write a title and you happen to do everything the right way for SEO, but you don't realize it just because you got lucky, right? And so it works. If I asked you, why does that work? You wouldn't be able to tell me. Okay, that's fine. But it's, sometimes somebody will mention you in a blog, in that sense, because that's happened to me a lot. So people will post one of my products in a blog article and they'll send people to my Etsy shop. I start selling a ton of it. I have no idea why. It's pure luck. That's just chance that person chose to put my stuff in the article. So just because you have everything in place, part of it could be luck. And, it doesn't mean that you can just blame everything on, oh, they're lucky and I'm not. Because there are a lot of things that you can do to drive traffic and that kind of thing. But it is a piece of it. So let's not deny that. That sometimes that is a part of why some people are successful and some people aren't. They just got lucky for some reason. Nothing they did. It just happened that it worked. Whatever they were doing or someone else did just happens to work. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting to look at my husband and my fantastic success at Trivia Night, and kind of our team does better as a whole. I will say our team will do better as a whole than as individual teams. But we all, we ended up winning everything anyway, so that's all. I just thought it was interesting, and I do relate everything to online business. So give this video a thumbs up. I'm sorry if it was too chatty for you, but it's a podcast. It's a podcast. I will talk to you later. You can leave any questions that you have in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.